Welcome everyone to a special weekend edition of NoDQ&A video here on NoDQ.com. Don't forget that TNA Final Resolution is this Sunday live on pay-per-view. You can check out all the coverage at NoDQ.com. But for now, let's get right down to your questions. Did WWE drop the ball with the Kevin Nash storyline? It seems like when he first came back there was some interest, but now nobody really cares about Nash. He got very little reaction during Raw. Well, he's gotten very little reaction for the most part since his return. Now, what I think happened was when he came back at the Royal Rumble, number one, it was a big surprise. Nobody was expecting it except for the hardcore fans on the internet because it leaked out a day or so before the event. But the other thing is that he came out as Diesel, and I think that triggered something with the audience. Keep in mind that at the Royal Rumble, it was largely hardcore wrestling fans. So, you know, they were kids when the Diesel character was at its peak. So when Nash came out in, you know, the whole Diesel truck and the sound and everything, you know, the people reacted like they were little kids again. When Nash came back, he was just Kevin Nash. And the thing is, he came out and did these promos where half of the things he said were insider references. And your typical Raw audience is going to have no idea what he's talking about. And I think that contributes a lot to why he hasn't gotten any kind of reactions. Also, it wouldn't help if he actually wrestled a match. The thing is, he just comes out every once in a while and cuts some promo about, oh, we used to be buddies in the clique, and you know, just why should your average fan care about what he has to say? So I mean, that's what I think is the deal with Kevin Nash. Maybe if they had actually explained things a little bit better, or brought in Nash when he was ready to actually compete, then I think it would have helped him a little bit. All right, let's see what else we got here. Hey Aaron, in your opinion, is Zack Ryder overrated? And with the fact that Cena has been the face of the company since 2005, can you see Ryder becoming a top guy? Cheers. Cheers. No, I do not think Zack Ryder is overrated. I think the guy is extremely entertaining and a very hard worker and somebody who's willing to go the extra mile to try to make a name for himself. He wasn't really going anywhere. He was not getting on Raw. And, you know, he took matters into his own hands. He started his own show and he had the attitude, you know what, if I get fired, so be it. I'm going to at least try to do something here and become something of myself. So, you know, I give Zack Ryder a lot of credit. And, you know, I've watched every single one of his shows, and I just think he's a breath of fresh air in WWE. It's something different. Now, I think people are going a little bit overboard in the sense of thinking that he's ready to be WWE champion. You know, I did a poll on NoDQ.com about 6 months ago saying, should Zack Ryder be WWE champion? And it was like 75% yes. And I would disagree with that, and even to this day, because like I've said before, I think Ryder needs to have a little bit more serious demeanor with his character. I think he needs to prove that, you know, he can be a serious character. Like, if, let's say he became WWE champion, he went on Jay Leno, I wouldn't expect him to do the whole over-the-top shtick and the, you know, the goofy gimmick and all that. I would expect him to act like a normal human being and talk about, you know, talk with a serious tone and all that. And I think that's an area of his character he needs to work on. And once he does that, you know, I think the guy definitely has what it takes to be a top guy in WWE. And, you know, he's very charismatic, very entertaining, and just fun to watch. So I definitely don't see him being overrated at all. Would you see Undertaker as a good technical wrestler? I respect the man and what he did, but not that hot in his in-ring wrestling. Your thoughts? Well, he's very athletic for a big man, but I do agree to some extent that he's not, you know, a great technical wrestler. He doesn't, you know, in recent years he started doing more submission holds, and but you know, that's not really what his gimmick was about. It wasn't about being a technical wrestler. It was about, you know, being the dead man, just being this powerhouse force that, you know, as most big guys are. But you know what? When he's in there with a guy like Shawn Michaels or somebody who is a good technical wrestler, you know, like Kurt Angle, Undertaker had some great matches with Kurt Angle and Shawn Michaels and all those guys. So when he's in there with the right person, he can be, you know, he can have a great technical match. If The Rock wasn't leaving after SummerSlam 2002, do you think he still would have put Brock Lesnar over? Absolutely. The thing about The Rock is once he got over, he had no problem putting over other guys. You look back at Raw in 1999 and 2000, you look at those Raw results, he was losing more times than he was actually winning. and it didn't hurt him at all. And you know, The Rock had gotten so hot that it didn't matter. And you know, The Rock, he's not selfish. He wants to be able to do what's best for the business, and he doesn't need the wins. Now, you know, with Zack Ryder, you know, he's really entertaining, but he still needs some. I've said this before about Zack Ryder. He needs some wins to establish himself first as a credible force in WWE before they can start having him lose matches. You know, it's fine. You know what they're having him do right now. He's winning matches and losing matches, but I think he needs to get to the top first, and then you can start having, like, look at Chris Jericho. Once Chris Jericho reached the top, you know, back in 2010 before he left, he was losing a lot more than he was winning, and it didn't matter because fans already saw him as a main eventer. So it didn't matter how many times he lost. So yeah, with The Rock, it just didn't matter with him by that point. He could lose a million times and he would still be the man. It's just the way it was. What's your favorite Kurt Angle match in WWE? My all-time favorite, because I was there, would be the match with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 21. In my opinion, one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. And that really made WrestleMania for me. That and Hulk Hogan coming out, you know, and attacking Muhammad Hassan and Daivari and the Piper's Pit and the Money in the Bank. That made WrestleMania for me. And I also really liked the Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit match from the Royal Rumble 2003. Definitely, possibly the best match from either of those guys. I mean, that was as close to a perfect match as you could ask for. And then Kurt Angle versus Shane McMahon from King of the Ring 2001. Just an extremely violent and brutal match. Just an all-time classic pro wrestling match with just two guys beating the living hell out of each other. And you know, Angle proved in that match he could wrestle hardcore and do the hardcore spots. So yeah, those would be my top three. Hey Aaron, what do you think about the Hell in a Cell match between Cactus Jack and Triple H at No Way Out 2000? Why isn't it talked about as much as Mankind versus Undertaker from King of the Ring in '98? I think the reason is for two main reasons. First of all, they were just trying to recreate the first match. They did the big spot at the end where Cactus Jack went through the cell, but you could tell it was a very safe spot compared to the first match, and it wasn't so much of a shock. You know, when they were both on top of the cell, you were expecting that Cactus was going to go through it, and he did. And it looked a lot safer than the other spots. So, you know, when people remember a Mick Foley moment in Hell in a Cell, they remember the original. And then the other reason is that it was billed as his retirement from wrestling. He lost the match and he was going to be retired. But then he just came back 1 month later. So it kind of watered down that stipulation, and people just forgot about that match because there was no reason to remember it. I mean, if he had actually retired for a while, then it would tend to be memorable to some people. But because he came back right away, you know, just so many things happen, you quickly forget. So that's what I think. All right, that'll do it for today's edition of NoDQ&A video right here on NoDQ.com. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, youtube.com/NoDQCAW. Leave a comment, let me know what you think, and we'll see you next time.